How many of you have been in sauna? How many of you would like to go to sauna? How many of you would like to go to sauna in Finland? Okay, I have something for you. I have React Finland. I'm the director of this conference. It's 400 developers, mostly from Finland, but we get like 100 from abroad, Germany or whatever. So what happens, Germans find our site, and they're like, I like React. I never been to Finland, I go to Finland for React Finland. So you could check it out next year. We have some speakers. Normally it's like 20 speakers or so. This time around is 4 days. How many of you have been in Austria? Now you're like lying because we're in Austria right now, so everyone's like that. But the point is that how many of you have been in Vienna? How many of you want to go to Vienna? Okay, I have something for you because I'm doing a conference in Vienna. So this is in September. It's only like 1 day. It's for JavaScript developers. I think we have some here. Or ECMAScript, however you call it. And the point is it's UI-centric, it's supposed to be fun. So anyway, in September you can check it out. Then what I do, I have my own business. I've written a couple of books. I should maybe update the books every once in a while, but I've been busy with consulting work. I think the main thing about the site, the surveychase.com, is to go through the blog posts, because I have about 100 interviews. So if you want to learn something about development, you go check out the interviews. And it's so much, I covered Redux before Redux was popular. So I did something right. So lots of technologies. And today's talk is, I think we have to fix the, give me a moment. Because I don't want to infringe the, the Oracle thing, so let's fix this. All right, ECMAScript, where are you going? So for me, it's interesting topic, because I gave this talk in 2016 for the first time. And then I figured that maybe I should give this talk again, because a lot of things didn't change, some things changed. So I didn't have to do much work, I just pick the slides and that's it. And it's all his fault that we used ECMAScript. He spent 10 days in 1995. 1995 is an important year for me because it's the first year when Finland won ice hockey championships. And you know what happened this year, of course, right? But anyway, it's his fault. And someone should make a Terminator kind of movie, but I won't go into that. In 2011, 38.2% of sites use JavaScript. It's quite a lot. But now we have 75%. So 3 out of 4 use JavaScript somehow. And yeah, I checked out the trends. This is to search us against JavaScript. Lots of search volume. Then you see the popularity of React. So Angular was like #1 for a while in search. Then people start getting problems with React. So we have lots of React searches and Vue and NPM whatever. And we have in NPM, the package manager or the registry, more importantly, of JavaScript, NPM, we have over 1 million packages. So you see we had like 800,000 and now we have 1 million. So it's a lot. And you see the growth. So we started from scratch. Actually, did anyone develop JavaScript before NPM? Do you remember what it was like? Right, so you know what I'm talking about. So you were like doing this script tags, and you get something to the global object, and then you somehow make it work. But after NPM came with Node, we started getting things done. And then it blew up, so we have lots of packages. And NPM looks like this. Yeah, it's not so pretty, but we like it. And you can find the visualization online. It's WebGL, so then you can go into the graph and you can figure out how everything is related to everything. And in the registry, you can find lots of packages of different shapes and sizes. It's like this dinosaur thing. So in 2016, I found about 2,700 boilerplates. That's the thing. I don't know why would you push a boilerplate on NPM. Doesn't make any sense for me because you have to be able to, clone it. And now we have over 5,000. So something happened. We got more. Then we had 12,000 frameworks in 16, and now we have almost 24,000. So it's a lot of frameworks to choose from. Then we have toolkits. I mean, that's the thing. We don't have strict definition of what's a toolkit, what's a framework, and so. And now we have almost 3,000. So you see that the numbers go up. And then we had libraries. For some reason, people write library to their package. And then 51,000 components, 13,000 components. You have to remember this was before React became popular. Because what happened next is this 76,000 components to choose from. So you can see that React did something to NPM maybe. But then you get this question. We have 1 million packages, and then we have 76,000 components, and so on and so on. How many of these are like major somehow? How many are maintained? And so you get lots of questions. Then 2016, someone made like a check to NPM and figured that about half have some kind of tests, but doesn't give any indication on what's the quality of the test coverage. And then more numbers. So then like 138,000 out of 231,000 packages had README, license, and repository data. I made my own check. So about 700,000 out of 1 million have this basic information. So then the question is, what's the difference? I mean, the over 200,000 packages, what are these packages about? And then one thing to figure out if you're into science, you could look into the history of packages and figure out how many are kind of dead, that nothing happens, or kind of living, that something happens. So how many of the million are something that you will use? Maybe it's 100,000. It's something to think about. And is it possible we went with quantity over quality? I mean, it might be. One interesting thing about history, there used to be Node security project, but then NPM bought a company doing it, and now we have NPM audit, and the group went to Node Foundation. So there is thought about security going on, and even today we have people here that know more about the topic. Then I was thinking, why don't we have Node quality project? Because it will, in addition to security, I think we will need quality, because quality is the thing that puts us forward. Is it too easy to publish? Because when you have 1 million packages, it means it must be very simple to push something to the registry. And it is so, because if you can find the free name in the namespace, you can say npm publish, and now you have something there. So there's quite little moderation. Who remembers LeftPad? So you know what happened. So the point was that for some reason someone decided to unpublish a package that was popular. And of course what happened, this broke a lot of builds, because if you don't have the package you need, it's not going to work. So after that, they made it more difficult to unpublish. So now you have like 24 hours. Let's say you publish something, now you have 24 hours to remove the package from the registry. So after this scandal, they more or less fixed the issue. Do you remember this case, the Cryptostealer? So the point was that someone managed to hijack a popular package and publish a minor version that contained a script that was able to extract the credentials to your wallet from your machine and send it somewhere. The script was a little faulty, so the exploit didn't exactly work, but it showed how dangerous it can be if someone gets access to something popular and pushes something malicious. And once I was developing, and then I got this one. So Guru was meditating and actually looked into this error, and it goes to at times of Amiga. You know Amiga from the 80s? These Amiga gaming machines were kind of, so there was some game and whatever, and that's why we have Guru meditation, or mediation, Guru mediation, yeah. So this can happen. And this is what I figured out today, is that NPM, at the moment, they have money to last till next year. So that's what, in startup terms,
this is called the runway, and the hope is that you get more funding, or you get exit, or you get clients that pay enough money to sustain your operations. So it must not be very nice to work at NPM at the moment, because you are under fire all the time. But maybe there are options. So first of all, there are mirrors. So let's say NPM went away. You will still have access to at least NPM data through the mirrors. Then GitLab, went to the market. They have some kind of registry of their own. GitHub, Entropic. This is from the previous CTO of NPM. Verdaccio is what they call a proxy. You can even run this on your own computer and publish this private thing. And you can even host it. So it more or less gives you private repositories or private packages for free. So it's worth looking into. And if you start dealing with multiple registries, there is a tool called NRM, and NRM lets you choose that I want to use this or that or that. So you don't have to use the default if you don't want. There's a new option called Pika. And the premise of Pika is that they list only packages on NPM that use ES6 module definition. So they kind of, from 1 million, they choose 100,000. And I can show you the reason why. It's like this. So yeah, it's more close to 60,000. But I mean, we got introduced to the ES6 modules, and then it took a while for people to start implementing their packages in this way that you can actually consume straight these packages. And then we see the same growth curve. So I think the number will be a lot bigger in a couple of years. So this means we can kind of, it's tricky, but it feels like maybe this is one of the directions. They even have CD and all that, but it seems like a new direction. Something to at least study. And yeah, ECMAScript. So previous talk gave you a lot of information how it works, so I won't explain that much. But what happened is that we had in the past ES5, that was more or less the standard for many, many years. For like 6 years, it was enough. If you know ES5, you know everything, more or less. And then we got ES6, or ES 2015, and then we started getting tons of features. And then we started getting yearly releases, so now we get features every year. And then you have the proposals, and you know how the process goes now. And you know what this prints? It's the array 16 join hero 1 Batman. No, Batman. And I think this tells a lot about JavaScript, and it tells also about the problematic features of the language, because you get this kind of loose typing, which is not always so nice. There's even this equality minesweeper. So if you think you know JavaScript, you can try this one. So yeah, I don't want to play it because I might embarrass myself, but you can try it later. But what happened, I think, is that JavaScript went enterprise. So now we have people creating huge applications using the language. And of course, when you have multiple teams, a lot of people working on code base, it puts certain pressure on the language, certain pressure on how you do things. And I think that's one reason why we got Flow. So this is something from Facebook, something they use in their projects. And then from Microsoft, we got TypeScript. So in about 8 years, it went from something that nobody cares about to something that a lot of people care about. And you can see it here. So this is 2015. So this is based on Stack Overflow and GitHub statistics. And JavaScript is here, because it's, of course, the most popular language we know. And TypeScript is here somewhere in the middle. But you can already see it's growing in 15. And in 19, it's somehow catching up with JavaScript. So I think this tells about the growing popularity. How many of you use TypeScript? Yeah, that's what I thought. So I think the adoption is still growing. So we're still, like, for me, last year was the year of TypeScript. So I started seeing the value and started using it in production. And now the thing is, it's not so comfortable to go back to JavaScript. Then we have this thing called WebAssembly. My thinking with WebAssembly is that now it's starting to get stable. And the point is, let's say you have legacy application written in like C++ or some, let's say you have like complex application you don't want to rewrite for the web. So maybe that WebAssembly is the way, because you could, I guess you could compile to this target. Or let's say you have an application that has some complex, expensive calculation. You could push the calculation to WebAssembly and implement in some other language. So my thesis is that it can be helpful for porting legacy applications and improving performance in these specific cases. And then, do we get more fragmented ecosystem? I mean, sometimes it feels so, because now we have the JavaScript, there was TypeScript, and maybe some other niches. Sometimes it's like, it's so that big companies push something forward, and then you get adoption. But there's always some little conflict. Because let's say you have some individual doing a great tech, but they're not famous, and they don't connect with the market enough to make it popular. So it can be tricky. So you have lots of hype. We have what we call thought leaders these days. So you go to Twitter, you follow a thought leader, and then you do thought leader-driven development. So they more or less tell you that use this, use that, and then you just follow that and hope that it works. So, and if you, okay, let's ask about CoffeeScript. How many of you used CoffeeScript in the past? How many of you use it right now? Right, that's what happened. So nobody uses CoffeeScript anymore. We used it for a while. It was sort of popular. And then what happened? ECMAScript ate it. So we got the main features to the standard, and it vanished. It can be more complicated with TypeScript, but maybe there will be some, like, maybe ECMAScript will get things like decorators, like as discussed in the previous talk. So we will get some parity, maybe not complete parity, but at least TypeScript will inspire ECMAScript to evolve. And then you start thinking about typing, because I think what happened is that people see the value of types much better now than a couple of years ago. And next they start thinking, do I have to type this much? So then you start looking into ecosystems like ReasonML, because you have to type less and you get more benefits out of that. And the thing is, a lot of times, the future is already here, but we just don't know it. I mean, some people are like in the future. They're using the things most people will use in a couple of years. So that's why it's worth it to keep eyes open to see what's happening in the ecosystem. Yeah, for me, this is a good video to show what we do on our daily life with ECMAScript. So this guy is telling that it's great to build airplanes. And yeah, we're making airplane while flying it, of course, because it's like that. So we have workers doing the airplane, and we're like deploying the production all the time. So we have this continuous integration system. Yeah, let's get some seating for the customers. Yeah, so these are the users. Yeah, let's get some tires so we can land one day. And he really likes his job. But for me, this is a very good analogy how things work. So we're working in a constantly changing environment and trying to adapt to the environment while trying to adapt to the business or what our clients need. So there's this constant pressure between what clients want and what developers want. And sometimes you want stability, but you cannot get stability, and it gets complex. So you can find me on Twitter, and you can discuss with me about the name later. I can show you how to pronounce it. Do you have any questions?
Who has some questions? Or at least one.
I think they're hungry, so.
Okay. Good. There was one question, so you can applaud again afterwards.
You're not on the hype train?
I mean, that's the thing. So you should know what's going on, but at the same time, you should be like practical about. I mean, I can show you how I'm in the type train or hype train. I use GraphQL on backend, and then I found this thing called type GraphQL. Yeah. So you see, we have different decorator here. So you write classes, and from these classes, it gives you two things. It gives you type. So you get TypeScript type. I get GraphQL schema. So I write one definition. I mean, first it's like, why would I write this thing? But then you start seeing that, so now I have the type, now I have the schema. I don't have to write GraphQL schema anymore. On front end, I don't have to worry about the types. I consume the types from the backend. And then I went so far that I started generating my GraphQL queries based on the type system. So I combined GraphQL and TypeScript type systems. So I can just look at the types of component, generate the query based on what it needs, and then we go. I don't have to write queries anymore. So there's a lot of innovation going, and that's what I meant by saying that the future is already here. We just don't always know it. But for me, TypeScript, it feels like it's a step towards something else maybe. So now we get awareness of typing. And one thing that's really funny for me is that I started developing software around 2005 with C. You remember C, right? So you write these types and structures, and you think a lot about data. And for me, that's like a natural way to develop. You think about the data, and you already solve a lot of problems that, or like make it easier to solve the client problems. And now it feels like we're going back to this kind of familiar thinking that's more software engineering. So we think about types and then maybe state machines and all that, and it comes together in a nice way. So it's just so that it takes time for mainstream to catch up with the bigger or good ideas. So yeah, I'm aware of the hype, but I'm always a little careful with the hype as well.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, then it's time to applaud now. Thanks a lot, Juho, for the talk.